Hi guys, just a few quick tips regarding the tourism visa which you automatically get when you enter Panama from what are called the friendly nations such as the United States, Canada, European countries, United Kingdom. When you enter, they will stamp your passport, and it's very important to make sure they do stamp it so they can verify the date of entry. But there's a lot of confusion as to what happens after that period. First of all, you can leave the country. Secondly, you can actually stay in the country. Now, you're not supposed to, in theory, and there is a fine. So let me just go over the both options, because people are not making decisions based on the facts. So the facts are, and this is from speaking to immigration officers at the airport, and I recommend that you do as well to confirm what I say, because there's no other way you can trust anyone who gives advice on this topic. And the last thing you should do is read a page on the internet that could be out of date, or listen to someone with a camera and a YouTube channel without verifying yourself. But I've got this by speaking to immigration, and so it's first-hand knowledge. So you can leave the country before 6 months and return. As long as you do it by a flight, you can return after 3 days, no problem. What the issue was and why the rules were changed is a lot of people were doing what they call perpetual tourism. Perpetual tourism was basically being done by people skipping over the ground border to Costa Rica and coming back the same day or a day later just to get those stamps on the passport. And it was people from other countries outside the friendly nations that apparently didn't please the Panamanian authorities because they were allegedly working in the country illegally, popping over there and getting the stamps and coming back. And so there was a kind of reaction to this where they decided to stop people doing that. And so if you leave by a flight, come back after 3 days, you'll be fine if you re-enter with a flight as well. So that's one way. Now, the other way is if you're from friendly nations and you want to stay longer, and you're also from out of the friendly nations and you want to stay longer, what you'll be asked to do is pay a $50 multa. Multa means fine. So the $50 fine is per month. After the months are up, you then have to pay the $50 a month penalty. And what happens is you can go to the immigration office in Panama City and pay this just before your flight is due to leave. Now, what happens after you've paid that fine and you leave the country? It's very different to, for example, the United States or the United Kingdom. They don't hold it against you. They don't believe you're a bad person. They don't get upset that you've not abided by the rule. All they care about is that you stay out of the country for at least 1 month before you come back again, and you're welcome to come back again. I've confirmed this in person with immigration officers, not just one, with officers of immigration in the airport. Now, the only negative of this method is that if you are found in the street or anywhere in Panama over the period, and you have to carry your passport with you all the time when you're in Panama, those are the rules of the country, that you need identity on you all the time. When you're walking down the street, there is quite a good chance that you could be stopped sometime. When you're in the back of a taxi, when you're driving, there is a good chance you'll be stopped. It's happened to me probably 3 or 4 times in 3, 4, 5 years in Panama. And they'll check your ID, they'll perhaps call and see if there's anything noted against your name, but they'll be able to see the stamp in your passport. Now, the police, if they see that, you can explain to them that you understand the situation and it's okay that you pay the fine when you leave, and that's been confirmed with immigration. Now, the police can accept that or not. Now, the problem is that they may not accept that, and they don't need to, because as far as they're concerned, you've overstepped. They are not immigration. They don't deal with that and make decisions on that. So that could lead to them taking you into the police station or taking you to immigration, and possibly an order to leave the country within 7 days. Like I say, this is the limit of my knowledge on this. I don't know if there's an additional fine. I believe not. I believe you just pay the fine. But the inconvenience of being stopped and then going through this procedure and then having to leave on 7 days' notice, when perhaps you've got things planned, you've reserved accommodation, you've booked some kind of trip or something, you've made commitments, that could be a very great inconvenience to you. So that's the big downside of staying over the 6-month period and paying this $50 fine per month. But very, very few people seem to weigh that against doing all this other stuff, like taking flights, even becoming residents, when it's not necessary, perhaps in each individual situation. And every individual has to really get hold of all the facts and then make their own decision based on the facts. So I hope that just gives you a bit more insight into what the reality is here regarding being on a tourism visa, the automatic visa that you get as a person entering Panama. And if you've got any questions, just write below and I will be very pleased to help you. Another thing that just during this pandemic, a friend left Panama in March 2021. They'd been in Panama for around a year and they were not asked to pay the fine. From what I understand, and they were on a 3 months tourism visa. So they'd overstayed by 9 months and they had no problem at all at the airport. They just were a while talking immigration, they went through. It wasn't even mentioned. And from what I understand, the situation is that during the pandemic, they are free to waive it. But I always say it's best to go and talk to the immigration officers themselves, because obviously, how can you get better than that? Don't trust pages on the internet. Don't trust internet gurus. Don't trust people who've going off hearsay. I speak Spanish fluently. I travel in and out of Panama. And what's more, I know a lot of people who travel in and out from all kinds of different countries. So, but what's more important is I've actually talked to the people myself, which I recommend you do. Don't just take my word for it. Okay, I hope that's been useful.